We are continuing to follow a new claim by ISIS. The terror group says Jordanian airstrikes today killed an American female hostage. These are pictures that ISIS claims is from the area in Syria where the airstrikes occurred.
CBS News is not reporting the hostage's name or showing her picture. CBS News senior national security analyst Juan Zarate joins us now on the phone. And Juan, U.S. officials have told us, both the White House and the State Department, they don't have any comment at this time. Obviously, this information is very new, still developing. But I want to ask you a little bit about context here. Why might ISIS be making this particular claim that it was a Jordanian airstrike that killed this American female hostage? Why might they be making this claim now?
Well, I think in part they realize they're under pressure. They're also witnessing the effects of their killing of the Jordanian pilot in Jordan. They're feeling, obviously, additional pressure from Jordanian airstrikes. They're seeing popular opinion sway against them. And this is a way, I think, for them to inject some confusion into the Jordanian calculus and certainly raise the costs of continued strikes. And certainly to say that the American female hostage has been killed as a result of Jordanian airstrikes, creates additional questions and consternation, perhaps in Oman and certainly in the U.S. And I think this is their attempt to inject some confusion at a time when they're under assault.
You know, you say confusion. Earlier we had a chance to speak with Holly Williams, and she said she almost felt like they might be playing games. It would seem to me that when groups are doing something like this, they feel like their power is in some way in threat. Is that the overall sense that ISIS might be losing power, and that's why they're carrying out these purported attacks?
Maybe, although I think, if you look at the battle space, there are parts of the battle space where they are really on the offensive still. They certainly lost their attempts to take over Kobani, but they've expanded their reach in other parts of Syria. They've not been able to take some parts of Iraq, but they've begun to attack near Kirkuk. So for them, I think the landscape looks mixed. I think what they're reacting to is the immediacy of the response from Jordan, and they're probably sensing and seeing, certainly from those that may have been supporting them in Jordan, that there's a sway in public opinion against them. And again, part of this is to create confusion. Part of it, again, is their strategy to create tension within the coalition itself. And you saw that between the Japanese and Jordanian hostage situation. You're now seeing this with their attempt to blend the Jordanian situation with the last remaining American hostage. And so really, I think they're trying asymmetrically to impact the environment any way they can. And as I've said before, they've learned that the hostages and our sense of humanity around the hostages really can be used against us, and they can be used as strategic pawns in a variety of ways. And we may be seeing just another example of that with this report.
A couple of things I want to follow up on. First of all, how skeptical should people be about this latest claim?
I think somewhat skeptical. Obviously we've got to take what they say with a grain of salt. That said, this is a group that's deadly serious. They've demonstrated they're willing to carry out their threats and do so viciously and with barbaric means. And so, when this group says something, it tends to do it. And so in that way, I think it is something we got to take seriously. Whether or not the American female hostage was actually killed by a Jordanian strike and that no one else in the ISIS universe was affected, I think obviously we've got to take that with a grain of salt, and it's likely not true. But the fate of the female hostage really is still in question, and whether or not they decided to, God forbid, execute her, or simply she was caught in crossfire of some of these attacks, we're not clear. But they're clearly trying to use the confusion of the situation, trying to use the sense of fear and dread we have for the remaining American hostage, and the fact that Jordanian public opinion has turned against them. They're trying to use all of that to their advantage with this piece of communication.